A TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to a special post-game edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, joined by Tom Kakert as we get ready for or a recap, I should say, of the Hawkeyes and the Gophers. It's a special edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, along with a post-game podcast for the Hawkeye Report podcast. Tommy, thank you for doing this. It's always fun. It's always much easier to chat when we're talking about an Iowa victory than a loss. An impressive performance today at Kinnick Stadium.
Yeah, and this week we probably won't have to worry about the lights going out on me.
You paid the electrical bill?
Come back home because I came back home. The only thing we might have to worry about is my dogs coming in because I'm a bachelor this weekend, so I've got the dogs to take care of. But yeah, this was from beginning to end. This was a dominating performance by the Iowa Hawkeyes, who head into the most important month. If you're a college football coach, they will tell you that November is the month that defines good or great. And Iowa's heading into it playing their very best football of the year, which is a huge deal right now. This team this is a team, Minnesota team that played well the week before, beat Nebraska 24-6 up in Minneapolis, and Iowa this was over in the first quarter, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Yeah,
it was
100%.
over in the first quarter.
When it was 17-0, 10-0.
Yeah, it was like
you almost
this
thought
was
like
over.
Great start. 17-0, and it was done. And Tom, I said this to somebody else on the way home. You can play another game, another 4 quarters, and Minnesota's not going to score 17 points. If that makes any sense. I mean, when it was 17-0, you knew that Minnesota wasn't going to score 17 points and the game was done. Yeah. But Iowa did it in every single way too, Tom. That was what was impressive. Is the way they did it early on in this game was amazing.
Yeah, in the first half they had conventional, usual drive, touchdown, the pick six to extend that streak to 18 years in a row. That's incredible. 18 years in a row, Iowa's had at least one pick six. Testament to Phil Parker, who's been the defensive backs coach during that time. And then early in the second quarter, Caden Weegan takes one to the house and gets his boat oars out and rows the boat, which I thought was hilarious. It's not as good as what I had in my preview, Matt. My preview that I wrote.
You mentioned it on the show
Friday.
You mentioned it on the show though, as well.
I did. Yeah.
Which was?
Yeah, that he should signal a fair catch once he got to the end zone.
Yes.
Which would have been funnier. I think Iowa fans would have.
I don't know, Tommy. That rowing the boat thing was pretty good. I loved it.
I think they loved the row the boat too. Yeah, they did.
No, it was so Iowa gets off to a fantastic start. It was funny, Tom. We're up in the press box and some Minnesota. I don't know if it was media or exactly, but anyway, some Minnesota guys were to my left, and Iowa wins. That
was their sports information folks.
I thought they were too, and Iowa won the toss, and they looked at each other and they're like, "Did they receive?" And he kind of looked at me. I'm like, "Yeah, that's what Kirk does. He always receives." But it makes sense if you're going to go and, what was it, 75-yard drive efficiently down the field,
Nine plays.
mixing run and pass and that kind of. I mean, just the
Run and
start of the
pass.
game. There's so many different plays, but let's start with that first drive, Tommy, because Iowa got the ball first and they made a statement, went right down the field, a Gronowski 2-yard touchdown run, and it's 7-0 Iowa, and Iowa's feeling good.
Yep. Yeah, and that was a really good balance of run and pass. They went after John Nestor, which I thought was interesting. Um, and I thought that's probably what I had heard that's what they were going to do because they thought Nestor would be super aggressive and they might get some shots downfield on him, but instead he kind of played back and they just kept throwing at him. Although they denied afterwards that they were going after Nestor. They were going after Nestor because they knew what his tendencies were. So yeah, they did that. Kamari Moulton was running the ball really well. Gronowski doing his thing, down by his 11th touchdown of the season rushing, which is pretty incredible. Second drive that they had to settle for a Drew Stevens field goal, but then he had the Lutmer pick. Lindsey, the quarterback for Minnesota, really struggled today. He threw 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, 109 yards. Just not a great day for him at all. In their ground game, they had a net of 24 yards. Now, it's always goofy because they include the sack yardage in there. So, because Lindsey had minus 24 yards. But still, even, Darius Taylor had 1 carry.
It's crazy.
And had you known that he was not going to really have a game or be up their game plan or play, maybe he was hurt. I don't know. But had you known that, boy, it changes the outlook of how you feel about the Goph going into this game. They had nothing going. And I thought the most hilarious PJ Fleck moment of the night or the afternoon was it's 34-0. And you're driving and you get down to a 4th down and you settle for and you're like, oh, we're just going to kick a field goal.
It was a manageable 4th down too, Tom. It wasn't like 4th and 15.
What would Dan Campbell do? Gone
for it and then gone for 2. Like he's playing to win the game. And I know 34, was it 34? Yeah, it was 34. Yeah. I mean, obviously you weren't going to win, but that was simply they didn't want to get shut out. I want to go back to the first quarter real fast, Tommy, because we talked here. What was it? The first, doing math in my head, 3 games. Iowa didn't have a takeaway. Mm-hmm. And what was wrong with Iowa? Yeah. Since that, Tom, they've got 5 straight games where they've gotten at least 1 interception. They got 3 interceptions today, and now for the 18th straight year, Iowa has a pick 6 for a touchdown in a season. I almost said John Nestor. Zach Lutmer gets the interception, and he was dead for rights at the 5. And I'm sitting there, Tom, going, man, they've been stopped at the goal line or the 1-yard line each of the last 2 weeks. With Aaron Graves getting stopped at the goal line in Wisconsin, and then last week against Penn State, it was Xavier Wampa getting stopped at the 1-yard line. He was dead to rights at the 5, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be another one.
Spun out from a big old lineman.
He was not going to be denied. He gets into the end zone. It's night and day, Tom. They went from not being able to take the ball away to feasting on turnovers. And when Iowa's defense is doing that, they really get cooking. Like, they were good the first 3 weeks of the year, but they weren't special because they weren't taking the ball away. And now they're not just taking the ball away, they're doing it at a high rate. That first quarter interception, I don't know if Kinnick was louder than at that point. Although the Reese Vanderzee touchdown was pretty loud as well. But with that being said, huge moment in the game, and all of a sudden goes from 10-0 to 17-0. That's kind of when we knew that this thing was going to be a laugher at Kinnick Stadium.
Yeah, it was 4 sacks as well in the game. That's another thing that's picked up for Iowa, I think. Aaron Graves, 2 of those 9 tackles for loss, which is pretty impressive. 3 interceptions. one pass broken up. So it was a really strong performance from Iowa from beginning to end. They really just, Minnesota never had a chance. They just never, ever had an opportunity to. It was 31-0 at half. I would have never guessed that. Not just no chance that something like. I thought it would be a tight game going into the third, fourth quarter. Iowa would inch out front and end up winning this game, but it was, boy, I can't tell you how impressed I am with this Iowa team and the way that they're maturing, developing right before our eyes, and that's a testament to the coaches and to Kirk and how they bring these guys along, and then it's a testament to the players for the way that they've worked hard and developed. The tackling for this team is night and day from what it was a month ago. Night and day. The aggressiveness, the plays that they're able to make, night and day. It seems like they've flipped a switch. The pass game is still not great. And what Mark throw for today?
135
yards, probably. 135.
And he had 40 yards on the ground, Tom. But he's a winner. Like I know it's cliche in sports, but he's a winner.
Yeah, he makes winning plays.
Yeah.
And gets you to the winner's circle. And that's the most important thing at the end of the day is, did you lead your team to a victory? Yes, he did. He did a great job, I thought, of just getting after it and leading the team and making good plays, making smart plays, making the right play. Did he throw the ball perfectly all game? No, he didn't. But it didn't matter. It was just that first drive was one of the best. And because we spent like the last week, people pissing and moaning about, will take the ball to start games when he's done it for 27 years.
I know.
Taking the ball. It's like they just discovered that Iowa takes the ball. He had a 1-year blip in there, I think last year, where he kind of looked at things differently with the analytics stuff. And the analytics people finally kind of beat him down and got him to do something different. But otherwise, he's always taking the ball unless there's a wind situation, because in 2003, they're up at Michigan State, and he shouldn't have taken the ball, but it was super windy. I was at the game. I was covering the game. And Razor Ochoa had muffed a punt or something, or just it was a mistake. And he's like, if I wouldn't have taken the ball and just played the wind side of things instead, wouldn't have been in that situation. And that was like the only time where so wind has been a determining factor sometimes, but otherwise, even when the offense has not been good, he would take the ball just because it's like, hey, let's take the ball. Let's see if we can go down. We got a good plan. Let's get the opportunity to get points on the board first is always important to him.
No, 100%. Tom, I want to talk to you second quarter wise. Iowa's up. And they put things away, 29-yard touchdown pass to Reese Vanderzee. And I think early in the season, and people are playing better. Yeah, and people are playing better. The receivers are playing better, but we were waiting for the wide receivers to catch up, if that made any sense. Nobody was making a play. And they were making, not even just the drops and those kind of things, but nobody was just going out there and making a play to win a football game. Rutgers. Who was the play down the middle, the fourth quarter catch? I can't think which receiver it was. Anyways, that was a play that needed to be made deep late in the game and went up and made that was a wide receiver making a play for an Iowa offense. And we don't see that a lot, Tom. And that's what Reese did. It was a 50-50 ball. He threw it up there and gave his guy a chance to make a play. Listening to the post game, listening to Rob Brooks had Reese on the post game show. And even Mark Gronowski as well. They both talked about how, this offseason, and in camp, mainly in camp, when Gronowski was up and going, they had a nice connection, the two of them. And then a week before the season started, Reese goes out. I think if Iowa fans want to get excited about something on offense and are looking for reasons to think that this is going to get even better, which I think it is the fact that Reese is back playing good football. And that play in general is very good sign for Iowa. His only catch, Tom, his only catch of the game, but a big catch nonetheless. And then you sit there and you go, okay, we got a rushing touchdown, a field goal, a passing touchdown, and a defensive touchdown. And of course, we'll talk about
remember that
the special teams touchdown as well. But big play by Reese Vanderzee.
Yeah, and remember, Reese Vanderzee and Zach Lutmer are high school teammates too. 1 year apart, but
Rock
high
Rapids
school teammates. So Rock Rapids, yeah, the metropolis that is, the football hotbed that is. That's a high school that's been really good to Iowa over the years. So, shout out to Rock Rapids.
100%. You look at it, Tommy, and then obviously they get up 31-0 in the first 20 minutes of football with, who, Caden Weegan making a great play. And he mentioned after the game, and you could probably talk more about it because I think he was in the press conference. Didn't he say he thought about throwing up the fair catch signal?
If you look back at the video of it, he kind of almost. I mean, it was like he was. It was like, oh, okay. I thought the funniest part was the Iowa social media team shouting out Cooper DeJean and Cooper responding, of course. And I thought that was the best. I still wish Reese would have did a fair catch signal in the end zone, but row the boat was fun too.
No, absolutely.
That's a nice dig.
Yeah, no, a huge dig.
Nice dig.
To say the least. I'm going to keep track of the chat here on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, I'm going to try to look down and read some stuff. So if you got any questions for Tommy, not me, don't worry about me, but if you got any questions for Tommy, in fact,
ask Dazzle. He's the star of the show.
Gray Baker said and this is true, the KJ Parker pancake is an example of the togetherness of this team. Doing the little things and everyone doing their job. On the punt return, that's a great point. Not that the punters, I'm probably going to get Caden Weegan's going to make that guy miss. I would take my chances with Caden making one last guy miss, but he didn't need to. I mean, KJ flat out pancaked him, and it's everybody. I know it's so cliche, Tommy, but it's doing your job and players doing their jobs, and that's exactly what happened.
He got a hand on a punt too.
Yeah.
And he kind of, I think maybe got a hand on a punt.
I don't know if he got his hand on it but he I mean, either way, he messed with the punter.
Pressured.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think he was more worried about how is this guy not going to kill me and shanked it off the side of his foot. But either way, a huge play for KJ Parker, who we didn't know who it was. I mean, I didn't. Did you know it first?
No, because he didn't have a nameplate on the back and he had to change he wears number 1. So does Xavier Wampa. And Wampa's on the field as well for those punt returns. So he has to put on a different number jersey that somebody else isn't wearing that will be out there. So he wears 32. And it was I think the first time he's been out there doing this stuff. So it's like not something we would notice until, boy, who's 32? And then we find out it was KJ Parker. And yeah, he flattened the punter. That was the last line of defense, was the punter. And I don't think the punter would have presented much of a challenge to Weege, but he was on his ass.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
on his butt.
It was 31-0 at that point, Tom, and it was over. And it was funny because I thought about this during the game, and there was some people in the press box wondering, why isn't Iowa Kirk wanted to be done at that point. And I'm not saying that in a mean way or he didn't want, but it was more about, he's not trying to get anybody hurt. He took some guys out late, all those kind of things. Kurt Signetti would have gone and scored 70 if he could have. Kirk's not the same mindset and you knew at that point, Tom, it wasn't going to be anything flashy. They were up. Second half, you get a couple field goals. You get the rushing touchdown to
lockbox, Matt. We call it the lockbox,
Yeah.
where he just runs the ball and kind of gets out. We're just going to get out of here with the win. You know what this kind of reminded me of? Like the avalanche of points in the first half was the 17 game against Ohio State, where it just felt like they were scoring point after point after point. That Josh Jackson had 3 interceptions. The Imani Hooker interception out of the gate. Except it wasn't the Ohio State offense that was fighting back. It was a Minnesota offense that just looked completely befuddled by Iowa during the whole game. I mean, they just never really mounted anything that looked like a threat to me. And even that drive where they got the 3 points wasn't that kind of the bailout with the personal foul?
Yep. Which was weird because it wasn't targeting, but he wasn't even hitting the receiver that was actually catching the ball. So maybe it was just like hitting a defenseless guy, or after the play, but it wasn't targeting. They went and looked, they took away the targeting, but then they still marked off the 15 yards. It was bizarre. It was really bizarre. But obviously Iowa does all that. And Tom, I mentioned it like on social media, but I don't think I've ever seen or been part of a football game where in the first 20 minutes of the game, we had, like I mentioned, a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, a field goal, a defensive touchdown, and a special teams touchdown. It was literally one of the best 20 minutes of Iowa football I've seen in my lifetime. It was pretty impressive.
And probably the best representation of what good Kirk Ferentz football looks like, where you're scoring on defense, you're scoring on offense, and you're doing it running the ball and passing the ball, but you're also utilizing special teams, you're utilizing your defense and creating some opportunities there. That's KF football in a nutshell. And it's going to be. I'm pretty interested to see where this team goes. I know we're going to talk about the future and stuff in a few minutes, so I don't want to jump ahead of things. But hey, we should mention Kamari Moulton. I thought ran the ball pretty well, 75 yards rushing. We got to see Jazz Patterson back out there after missing a couple games, and I think he's going to be important in November. That's when you want a guy who can just go get you some yards.
He runs so hard,
I think
Tom. He runs so hard. And in the second half, if he's fresh, in the second half, it looks a little different. It does. Like he got in there in the third and fourth quarter, and he has, when everybody else is kind of tired, and Iowa's, that offensive line's just grinding on you, Tommy. And that's another thing we never talk enough about. That offensive line, they made holes for the running backs. They protected Mark Gronowski for the most part, and they just continue to be one of the most, and the depth of the offensive line too, Tom. Like some different guys got in, and everybody played good.
Yeah, you got to see Leighton Jones get in there when Bo Stevens went out with an ankle, and Kirk said Bo's going to be fine. I know people have been wondering about Bo Stevens. He said he could, if it was a tight game, Bo's probably back in there. But at that point, it was pretty much, the things were decided, and they have a lot of faith in Leighton that he's going to be able to get out there. I saw Dotes was out there too, Jack Dotzler. So he was getting some reps at right tackle and doing some good work. Should mention Xavier Wampa again. X was excellent again, flying around, big hits. He's playing his best football right now. Lutmer just keeps getting better and better every week. He really does. I mean, just everything he's doing is at a different level. The whole D line got after it. I mean, Hawthorne was in the backfield a lot. We should mention Cam Buffington got a pick too, and that was funny because it was basically Minnesota's starters in there against Iowa's second team, and Iowa's second team was wrecking them. Yosei Epinesa with a big stop on a fourth down.
Yeah.
Yosei. By the way, Yosei's at at 3 games now, so he's got one more left if he wants to maintain a red shirt. So he can play in one more, and then he hits the 4 game, and after that, it's both feet in the party. So we'll see if they do that. But that was cool to see Yosei, and the huge ovation for Yosei when he made that play.
They're going to be
that was
there's some young talent on that defense, Tom, that aren't there yet and haven't made their presence felt yet. But when you mentioned Cam Buffington's going to be a guy, like he's going to be a dude. We talk about, the honorary captain was the outlaw Josie Jewell, and we talk about Jack Campbell in the pros right now, and it goes way back beyond that with Chad Greenwood and or Greenway, excuse me. Yeah, Greenway, excuse me. And Abdul Hodge and some fat guy named Pat. Like there's some really good, I'm missing a bunch of them. He's that next guy. Just last year, Jay Higgins. So, he's going to be that guy. He's going to be one of those guys that, and then you mentioned Yosei, excuse me. So yeah, really, really impressive. Tom, after the Indiana game, we sat here and people were bummed out, and, it was so close. I remember it was my kid's birthday and he was bummed going home, and he like, well, Dad, I look at the schedule coming up. What does this team do? They have a disappointing loss, and since then they've gone 3-0, beating Wisconsin, beating Penn State, and beating Minnesota. In the 2 rivalry games that are for trophies, they hammered 2 of their rivals, and they did it by the tone of 78-3. They beat Minnesota and Wisconsin 78-3 in a combined score. It's classic Kirk Ferentz, Tom. Like, they're going to get better throughout the season. They've done that. You just talked. It wasn't a good tackling team for a while, and now it's a sure tackling. They're all over the place. And here's the thing, Tom. I think they can get better. I think there's more in the tank. I think Gronowski has more to give. I think the passing game is going to get better. Is it ever going to be elite, sling the ball all over the place? No, but it doesn't need to be. And when you have him running the football the way he does, and you have him, and then you have the running game the way you do, it's going to be plenty. I think Kirk Ferentz deserves a ton of credit as usual, because Tom, and you know it more than anybody because you run a message board. I had several. So many people came out to me after the Iowa State game or after the Indiana game, and they said, "I love Kirk. I love him. It's just time. No, it's not time. It's just not. He's as good as it gets. He continues to win games, and his teams can continue to get better, and that's exactly what's going on right now, and it could continue." Your thoughts on just these past 3 games, Tom, have been super impressive.
It just, they divide, the way the schedule worked out this year, where they've got the 2 bye weeks this year, so they could section things off. And this 3-game section between the 2 byes, they really put a lot into this, and they've looked at it from that perspective of, hey, this is like a little 3-game run here. Let's go 3-0, and they just did that. They've accomplished that, and that's impressive that they can get through this 3-game stretch and get victories and get wins and keep moving forward as a team and keep developing. I just can't emphasize that enough, that you just have to look at things from the perspective of improvement, because there's so many teams that you can look around the college football landscape and you can say, they're not getting any better. That team's not getting any better.
Some teams regress.
They're just, they seem tired. They seem worn out. And I can tell you, so many teams. Kirk brought up the 2009 team, how that was kind of the opposite of things, but part of that was because Rick got hurt at the end of that season.
Yeah.
Towards the end after starting 9-0. But our friend Pat has mentioned this, and I think this is really true, because the 2008 team is one of my favorite teams that I've covered, Iowa football, because they were 2-2. 3-2, just kind of floundering. I'll never forget that Michigan State loss. They were trying to drive late, and fullback goes the wrong direction, and Sean Green gets stuffed on a fourth down play, and that was the ball game up against Sparty.
Yeah.
That was their second loss that year, and they were scuffling. They had lost at Pitt, close game, and that was Kirk's trying to figure out which quarterback to play and everything. But by the end of that year, that team was playing so well. That was the team that went up to the Humpty Dome and beat Minnesota 55-zip. That's what I thought of today when Iowa got off to that fast start. I was like, this is like, I went in, I was talking to, at halftime, talked to the Greenwoods at halftime about that. And Brett was like nodding along. He was like, yeah, yep. He remembers that game. Just went up there and smacked the Gophers around 55-zip. So, yeah, that's why I think of that '08 team with this team. That team just kept getting better and better and better, and it had a lot of no names on the team early in the year, and they just weren't like very flashy. But then at the end of the year, you're like, holy cow, Sean Green's running for 100 yards every game, and they're just kicking everybody's tail. And they knocked off. That was a team that knocked off that undefeated Penn State team.
Yeah.
With Danny Murray, the field goal. So that's just one of those teams I think about with this team. Just I don't know why, but it feels like '08 in some ways. They don't have that dominant back. They don't have that Caleb Johnson, Sean Green kind of back, but they find ways to win, and they've gotten better. It's so hard to do, and it's something that KF has been able to coach. And maybe that's the stability of his staff, that they just know how to kind of put this magic elixir on these teams and just go, okay, you guys go get better. And they do.
I talked to Josie Jewell for the Hawkeye Tailgate show, and I asked him what makes this defense so special. And he said, and I phrased the question with, what makes this Phil Parker-led defense so special and playing so well? And he said, you said it in the answer, in the question. It's Phil Parker. And that's what it is. And they get better, and they know what they're doing, and they're looking for guys to do parts and do roles, and they teach them up, they coach them up, and they go do it in a very high way. We do have to talk, and we won't get into it a bunch because we're going to take a quick break and look ahead. But Tom, this rivalry between Minnesota, it ain't a rivalry because the other team has to win every once in a while. Yeah, you can dislike people, but rivalries means they're close games and close. Like it's now 11 out of the last 12, and we know all that. We all know that the one in that whole thing was BS. And then it's 19 of 24 overall since 2001. So Iowa.
Hey, did you before we go to a break? Did you see Bronowski's facial hair today?
Did I say that one more time?
His facial hair. Did you see
The Fu
Mark's
Manchu?
facial
What
hair
was
today?
it? The Fu Manchu, or what was it?
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a Fu Manchu kind
Yeah.
of look,
Yeah.
little goatee kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's more of a goatee Fu Manchu thing,
yeah.
and he looked like White Goodman from Dodgeball.
Oh, you know what? Now that you're
does.
right. Yeah,
He does. He
Yeah,
did. He
that's
looked
good.
like White Goodman.
that's a good call. That's a good call.
Yeah.
No, he
Ben
played
Stiller's
great.
character, for those who don't know.
He
Yeah.
played great, and I loved the post game interview, which was on CBS, which was
He said he does that. We asked him about it. Somebody asked him about it in the post game. I did not. But somebody asked him about the facial hair thing, and he said he does it once a year. And he said, and this was the classic thing, he said Dunker was having like a 5-minute conversation with him, and then he didn't even really notice it until the end. And he goes, "Whoa, what's going on here? What did you do?" It's a classic Dunker.
Yeah, no, it's a fun team. It really is. So we got more to get to. Everybody wants to know, is this team good enough to play in a college football playoff? Can they run the table? Obviously, they get a week to talk about it. We get a week to talk, 2 weeks to talk about it, because up next is Oregon. How good are the Ducks? What's the order of the toughest games left for the Iowa Hawkeyes? Obviously, Oregon's won. What's the rest? We'll rank those again and kind of look ahead as we go into a bye week. Iowa, impressive once again. They win easily at home, 41-3. Your final on that one. This is a special post-game edition of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, along with the Hawkeye Report podcast. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, a special post-game edition along with the Hawkeye Report podcast. I don't know why I don't have Tommy just with me up on the screen right now, so we'll go back to the one and only. And thank God there's just one of you, Tom Kakert. A bachelor this weekend. Like the place to be if you're hearing loud noises coming from Bluegrass, Iowa, it's because Tom Kakert's probably got a huge party going on as the Hawkeyes knock off Minnesota. I do got to mention, we just saw the Godfathers, and we love Andy Furman. He's one of our favorite people.
The best.
I had the best. I'm not kidding you. See, so the best, it was, they got the cheese sticks. Well, he brought it over to one of our shows, and it had pepperoni on it, and then it had a hot honey drizzle over the top of that. So it was like a spicy, sweet pepperoni deliciousness. I don't know why I'm getting into this, but I saw the commercial, and it was just so damn good. So we love Godfathers. We love Andy Furman. Great dude. And we got to get over to his tailgate, Tom. I've been telling them all year we're going to get there. So that's on you. It's on you. You know where it's at. You got to take me over maybe before the Oregon game or before the Michigan State game. We mentioned Oregon. That's a great segue, Tom. I had a buddy text me, several people texted me during the game, but a buddy that literally wanted Kirk gone probably 3-4 weeks ago texted me and say, hey, can we start talking about the postseason and the playoffs? That's going to happen. And I'm not saying they're going to go there, but that talk is going to continue to get a little louder and a little louder. And Tom, we have a bye week. So we have 2 weeks to talk about how good this team can be. And obviously this game coming up. How much do you think that talk should be happening? Or where do you put Iowa in the grand scheme of what's going on with the rest of college football? Is it too early to start thinking about that? Because they probably got to run the table, and the table's hard. So your thoughts?
I was watching College Game Day today, and they had undefeated, 1-loss, 2-loss teams, and I saw Iowa's the Tiger Hawk was up there. So they're they were talking about it in the context of teams that are in the college football playoff picture, at least framework. And Iowa's probably going to be ranked this week, don't you think?
Yes, and it's amazing
Yeah,
how many
6-2.
fans want them ranked. It's like, and when my house, my kids are like, the first thing they said is they better be ranked. But like, that's a big deal still. Like being ranked is a big deal, and they should be, shouldn't they? There were enough losses, although they weren't getting a ton of votes last week, were they?
No, they weren't. And UW beat Illinois, and Illinois was still ranked as of last week, but they'll obviously fall out. Your Illini will be out of there.
Tom, and we're gonna talk about it after this when you go away, but their three losses, they've been outscored 139-51. Like they've been when they lose, they've been bad. And I said before this game, if people there were still Illini fans that thought if you ran the table, you'd be in the postseason. They lost the two games 96-27. Like they're not close when it comes to the best teams in the country. I'm not saying Iowa's going to win a national championship, but when they played Indiana, they're a Mark Gronowski late injury away from winning that game, and they're a stupid double tipped pass away from being undefeated. They're 2 plays away from being undefeated on the season. I know ifs and buts and all that kind of stuff, but they're close in their losses. Not a lot
They're
of
the
other
only
schools
team
are.
that's given Indiana. They're the only team that's given Indiana a game
Yeah. UCLA
so far.
got embarrassed today. Like embarrassed. That was 35-3 at halftime. And talk about
Metty's
another
a
team.
bully.
There was another team that they were down 49-3, and UCLA kicked a field goal.
Kick the field goal. It's insane.
love it.
If Dan Campbell's watching those games, what is he doing?
Oh, he's
What is Dan
probably
Campbell
breaking
doing?
his TV if he's watching those games. But he has trouble getting up because of his. Never mind. We'll talk. I mean, yeah, I got to keep it.
I know he needs a wheelbarrow to get around.
These big old
right?
boys, those big old onions. But anyways, so yeah, they're in the conversation. I was just watching the Michigan halftime, and I don't know which one it was, but he's like, I don't know why we're talking about all this because the only realistic teams that are good enough to win a national championship is Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. And that may be the case, but we're not talking about winning the national championship. We're talking about, and that's the beauty of the 12-team playoffs, if you're a playoff team, if you get into the postseason, if you're the 12th seed or whatever it may be. But I think, hey, Tom, we said Iowa, if they went 10-2, would have to, in the process, would most likely beat Penn State or Oregon to start the season. They've beaten one. If they go 10-2, they'll beat both of them. And it's just the eye test now. Like right now, I watch Iowa and I'm like, they're a top 15 team in the country right now. I mean, they just are. If this Iowa team went to Ames next week, Iowa would be favored by 3.5 points and they'd beat the Cyclones, right?
It's another team that's fallen off. By the way, as we're recording this, obviously it's a Saturday night in Oregon, and
we're not recording. This is live, baby. Well, I mean, recording for the podcast.
I know, but for the
podcast.
It's the people who aren't watching live will listen to it on podcast form, and so I'm just trying to give them context.
No, I got you.
There's 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left in the Oregon-Wisconsin game, and it's just 21-7. And this is at Oregon. It's not like it's in Madison. Yeah, 21-7. So, I don't do the transitive property stuff very often, but it's just worth noting that, that they're not blowing Wisconsin's doors off. And Wisconsin finally scored.
Yeah.
Which is the other news item. Just got some notes from my my friend Scott. Second fewest total yards from Minnesota versus Iowa since Minnesota against second fewest yards by Minnesota against Iowa since 1953. They had 72 yards in that game. So second fewest rushing yards. Minnesota had 2 yards rushing in 1982 against Iowa. So a dominant performance for the Hawkeyes.
Tom, do you wish
dominant
Iowa played
performance.
next week?
I do.
Like, I get bye weeks and they rest up, but they just had one recently. It was a month ago. I mean, it was 4 weeks ago. And I feel like they're playing really good football right now. I wish they played. I wish they played next week.
I do too. I thought about that after the game. I was like, boy, it'd be nice if they were playing Oregon again this week, because Oregon's on a bye next week too. So, then Oregon would have to, play this Wisconsin game, get on a bird, come to the Central Time Zone. Do we still think the Oregon game's 11 a.m.? The Fox people seem to think that.
They have the pick. Here's what stinks is that doesn't mean, and I don't know why, but I believe my fearless leader, Corey Sheets, I can't win Employee of the Week to save my damn life. I brought chips and salsa from Snoop's last week, and I still couldn't win Employee of the Week.
Yeah, congrats to Rob Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, he's
week.
Brooksy. He deserves it. But
he's great.
Anyways, I believe no matter what, Big Noon, the show will not be from Iowa City. Just the game will be there.
No, they're talking like the show's going to be there too.
Really? I thought, and maybe I know that our good friend, well, everybody listens to this, hopefully, but I thought I was told that, like, it might have been last night, and things are a little foggy from Friday night, but I thought I was told that, like, Big Noon was already predetermined to go someplace else, but the game wouldn't be that time to start. But maybe not.
It seems.
But yeah, I know Fox has the pick, and I don't think there's another. Like, what's the other games?
There's nothing.
I know it's in the window. It's in the holding window for. We won't know till beginning of next
Monday.
week. No.
Oh, we're not going to. It's just a 6-way window? 6-day window?
They're in the 6-day window.
Okay. I thought maybe they'd just announce it on Monday because that's usually the 12-day.
I don't think so. I do know that, like, I'm almost positive that we won't know sooner than that. But I do think it looks like it's going to be. I just feel like, and there hasn't been an 11 a.m. kick at Kinnick all year. Now, obviously, it can't be at night. I love the fact they had Penn State at night because I thought to start the season, neither of those games were going to be a night game. So I'm glad one of them was.
Can't be a night game. It has to be 11 or 2:30. It has to be 11 or 2:30.
I do like the 2:30 because by November 8th, we'll have the, we'll fall back or whatever it is for our clocks, and it's going to be dark out by 4:30. 5 o'clock. By the second half, it'll all be a night game anyways because of the time. I wish it was a 2:30 game, but you're a big proponent, aren't you, of the old of West Coast team playing at 11 a.m.?
The body clock game.
I don't know if I buy that as much as you do. Like, what are they going to fall asleep out there on the field?
No, it hasn't. It has not bothered Oregon.
Okay,
I will say that.
Well, hopefully it does. So, but I think, hey, can I ask you this question before we wrap up and stuff?
Sure.
Rank Iowa's most difficult games from 1 to 4, 1 being the most difficult when it comes to what's left on the schedule.
USC is 1 just because Iowa hasn't won out in California.
Is USC harder than Oregon?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think so. I would put it just because it's on the road, and Iowa hasn't won on the West Coast on hostile turf. I mean, they won the Holiday Bowl game, but that's a neutral site against USC.
How many chances do they
get? I don't know.
None. It's like a stockpile stat that you're giving me. It's not like they play 5 games a year out west, or even 2 games a year out west.
I know, but they've played out there. They just don't have it. It's a mental thing. Like I've got scar tissue from that UCLA game last year.
Okay, that's fine.
I got scar tissue from it.
I get that, but this is a different team.
I was at the Rose Bowl.
Tommy, it's a different team. It's just a different team.
A lot of same players. Same players.
They're not going. Yeah, but there's one difference, and he's under center.
I know. Don't
get me wrong. I think it's a very hard game.
Quarterback.
I think it's a very hard game. It's number 2 for me, but I still think Oregon's talent level and what they bring on the defensive side of the football too. I think they're just a really good football team. I think that's the hardest.
I would agree.
I think USC is second, and then what? Go ahead. I'll let you finish up.
Probably Nebraska, and then Michigan State. Michigan State trying to close up a little bit on Michigan. They're about ready to knock it in the end zone, make it 24-14. So we'll see if they can do that.
I'd love to watch. I'd love to see Michigan lose because I don't think.
Hey, by the way, because this will be a talking point tomorrow. Texas A&M just scored. They're up 42-18 in the Bayou against LSU. Is Brian Kelly getting fired? I think he is.
Wow. It was 18-14 at the half, Tom.
Yeah,
LSU
I think
was
BK's
up.
getting fired.
LSU was up 18-14 at the half.
Yeah,
They've been outscored 28-0 in the second half.
I think BK getting blown out like this is not good for his long-term employment.
It just doesn't fit. That whole thing hasn't fit from the start.
Family.
Where's
thing.
Brian Kelly end up?
He'll land up somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe he ends up Penn State.
I just was going to bring that up. Like, what if he ends up at Penn State?
Well, he'll have about 50. Maybe they could trade buyouts.
Unreal.
Because he has. Yeah. So, yeah, they're getting drilled. But
all right, Tim. What's your bye week look like before we let you go?
Oh, it's a lot of basketball stuff. We're gonna Kyle and I got Kyle's got his women's fearless forecast. I'll do the men's fearless forecast this week. We'll have a lot of buckets content this week coming for everybody. So
what's your bye week next weekend look like? Do you get to do anything fun?
No, I'll just sit on my couch and watch football. Probably.
Tom, that's fun. That is fun.
So now I'm just I've been through wild swings of emotion with my Bears because we thought that Lamar Jackson was gonna hurt us Sunday, and now he's out.
You guys are gonna win. You're gonna be 5-2. You're gonna be 5-2. A shot.
It feels like somebody's gonna pull the rug out on us. Yeah.
No,
we'll see.
Tom. Shame on you if you guys can't win that game.
No.
They're awful.
We'll see.
Without Lamar Jackson, they're awful.
It feels like a schedule loss. There are things that schedule losses. Like the Lions going to Kansas City, that was a schedule loss.
No, that was the referees making sure that the Kansas City Chiefs.
Do you
know how hard it is to go through in an NFL game without a penalty? That was what the Chiefs did that night. It was amazing. Also, do you know how hard it is to get a phone call literally 2 minutes after a play was done and throw a flag for a pre-snap foul? It's impossible. It's just okay. Anyways, don't get me all fired up. It's my bye week, and that's where we're going next weekend. We're going to Detroit for the Lions-Vikings game next Sunday. So I'm going to be enjoying my bye week.
Yeah,
as well.
You get to see JJ. You get to see JJ McCarthy playing in the state of Michigan again.
It's gonna be a good game. That's not gonna be a good game. Minnesota's stinky. They're bad.
Minnesota's really bad. Yeah, they're really bad.
They're the worst team in the division. Tom,
Bears should be 6-1.
I don't know if the Bears aren't the second best team in the division.
Yeah, the Packers' offense is not good.
And I'm not saying that as a braggadocious Lions fan, but like 52-21 still happened.
Who lost to the Packers?
Yeah. Well, they were crowned that weekend as the greatest team that ever played football, and it's been average since. And then good thing week 2 happened and 52-21 happened. That was fun. So anyways, Tommy, you know what? They play week 18 and I'm scared of that game already. I'm already scared of that game.
They're living rent free.
The Bears are going to be playing to make the postseason, and I don't know if it'll mean. Who knows what it'll mean for the Lions? I don't like it.
Hey, but you know, Man Campbell's going to still play all of his starters because he's Man Campbell.
He's my man. I can't wait. There he is, right here. Sorry that this got hijacked to the Detroit Lions podcast and the Chicago Bears podcast, but I enjoy bye weeks because I don't have to stress tomorrow. And that's the same thing with Iowa next week. Like, I enjoy a bye week because you can just watch college football and not worry
You
about
don't have
like
to
your
plan
team.
you don't have to plan a show.
It's gonna be
You don't
fun
have to
next
plan a
weekend.
show.
I'm taking Monday off. I may not. I don't know. Anyways, nobody cares. So, all right, Tommy, anything else Iowa wise before we let you get out of here?
No, nothing else. Enjoy the bye week, folks. The coordinators will have coordinators on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you get to hear from, but it'll be a quiet week because everybody's happy.
No,
Everybody's happy.
it's gonna get more exciting and more.
You know what I
exciting.
said? You know what I said to somebody tonight in the press box? I said, "What are Iowa fans going to complain about for the next 2 weeks?"
They'll find something.
Find
I'll
something.
say this.
We always do.
I'll also
God
say
bless you.
I think the John Deere logos look nice on the field.
I did too. I
think
thought
it blended nicely.
blended in really well. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Nice
it's not-
coloring.
Yeah.
Great work by Joe Conklin.
We love Joe. He's so handsome. Such a good dude, Joe Conklin is. So anyways, Tommy, I appreciate it. For your listeners or the listeners of the Hawkeye Report podcast, Tommy will have a boatload more stuff coming up this week as well.
Chuck
Chuck
Long.
Corey Sheets is a little cranky.
Oh.
Because I haven't been on the podcast in like a long time. And I said, but this counts.
Well, you're on this. This
Yeah,
counts.
This counts. So nobody wants to hear what
This
I have
counts.
to say.
Well, you're so busy, but you're really too busy.
Never too
Because
busy
you've
for
got-
Tommy. There was one
You've got
night,
4 kids, and you're 4 kids, and you've got basketball practice every night.
and I do have
Somewhere.
daily show every day. But there was one night where I said, my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to do a podcast for Tom." I think it was the night that it failed, and you just said, "Skip it. We don't need it anyways." Your internet went down, and that was yours, not
Yeah.
mine. That was yours.
Yes, it was mine.
And I'm
It
like,
was, it was
if
maybe
Tom
Tom's fault.
if Tom texts me and says he needs me to do a podcast, I will do whatever it takes to do it. Because how many times have I called you and said, "Hey, I'm screwed. I need something."
Once
and
a
you're like,
week?
Yeah, well,
Once a week?
Not that much anymore. But there was a time
Once every other week?
somebody, like I think Pat had problems, and you're like, it was a Tuesday, and you're like, "Well, I just got done working out, but yeah, I'll do it." So anyways, I'll always make time, obviously, for Tommy. So those listeners for the Hawkeye Report podcast, Tommy will talk to you very soon. For people listening on Off the Air and watching, we're going to take a quick break, come back, and kind of talk a little more college football when it comes to bad days for the Illini and the Cyclones, and kind of wrap things up. You're watching OTA post-game special here on a college football Saturday. We'll be right back.
Give me the keys. Learning to drive can be stressful for both the student and, yes, the parent as well. Relax. There's an easy way to avoid the stress. Skiles Driving School in East Moline has been helping new drivers hit the road with confidence for over 20 years. Whether you're a teen earning your first license or an adult looking for behind-the-wheel training, we've got you covered. Their certified instructors are patient, experienced, and use modern vehicles equipped for safety and comfort. From classroom instruction to real-world driving, we make learning safe, affordable, and even fun. Call 309-278-0098 or visit skylesdriving.com. Skiles Driving School. Get in, buckle up, drive your future forward.
Are you looking to take your next party, tailgate, or golf outing to the next level? You need Mobile Party Experience. MPX features 3 top-of-the-line party trailers equipped with all the amenities you need to party like a rock star. Smart TVs, Yeti coolers, JBL sound systems, grills, bathrooms, and much more. Mobile Party Experience is an experience like no other. Check out my-mpx.com or call 563-514-1470 and book your Mobile Party Experience today. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo, a special post-game edition, a Saturday edition of Off the Air, as we talk some college football and a lot to talk about. If you're joining us, we just got done with Tom Kakert. If you want to talk Hawkeyes, rewind and go listen to it. Iowa, an impressive victory over Minnesota, 41-3 at Kinnick Stadium. I want to thank people who stopped by and said hi for the Hawkeye Tailgate show. Loved it, had a great time. Josie Jewell was on the show. Pat Anger was on the show, although he stayed up in the press box because he said it was too cold, so that was annoying. But and then also we want to thank Mark Woodley from KWWL stopping by and joining us as well. So bunch of fun. I know Kraus Family Plaza is going to be packed and have a bunch of fun things going on for the Oregon game. So we're excited about that as well. Already looking forward and planning on who's going to be doing what and who we're going to have on, all that kind of stuff. So excited for 2 weeks. November 8th. We don't know a time yet for when Iowa and Oregon will play, but hopefully we find out pretty soon. And it should be fun. A good, fun 4-game stretch for Iowa to finish the season, and we can talk about what might be and what could be a very fun finish to the season for Iowa. I do want to wrap up by talking about the other teams of local interest here in the Quad Cities. A rough day for the Illini. They went out to Washington, losing 42-25, the final score in that one. And it was 14-0, I think, from the start. I'm not going to sit here and I watched it at points in the press box at Iowa, had my phone up and kind of watching it. I'll watch it again tomorrow. It makes it easy because my Lions don't play, so I'll be able to kind of go through. I want to know what I'm talking about. So despite me doing the Iowa pregame stuff, I always watch Illinois games and a lot of times Iowa State games throughout the weekend. So I know what I'm talking about. But they lose 42-25, the final. And I mentioned it, like if Illinois fans, just 3 losses, but those 3 losses are blowouts. They really are. I know 42-25, it was a closer game at one point. I think 21-17 at the half, but they've been outscored 139-51 in their 3 losses. So their 3 losses, they're losing by an average of almost 30 points a game. So that's alarming a little bit. Still plenty to play for Illinois. They should be favored in every game the rest of the way through. Northwestern will be a little bit interesting, but they have a lot they can still do and still play for. But a disappointing day for Illinois out west. As I mentioned, they fall 42-25, the final score there. I'm grabbing a quick – wait for it. I'm grabbing a quick box score because they are ranked. And I looked earlier to see how our local guys were doing. It's Cole Rusk's really another good day for him. He had 4 catches for 56 yards. That's following another good performance from him recently. So Cole Rusk, the former Rock Island standout, playing really well, a long of 25 yards. And then I do know at one point Matthew Bailey was leading the team in tackles. He ends up with 6 total tackles, 5 solos. Here's the problem, is that if your safety is doing the majority of the tackling, that's probably not a good thing. The Washington quarterback had 280 passing, 4 touchdowns through the air. They had a 5th touchdown passing when Denzel Boston threw a touchdown as well. So the Illini defense giving up 42, and that was the concern because it's a high-powered passing attack for Washington, who's now 6-2 overall and 3-2 in Big Ten play, and Illinois now 5-3, 2-3 in Big Ten play. Luke Altmaier, 22 for 34, 199, 2 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions as well. And there was no running game. Obviously, they got behind. They didn't run it much. The Luke Altmaier's 7 carries for 48 yards led the way for Illinois. So not much of a running game at all when it comes to the Illini. And so they'll look to get back on track. And maybe disappointing loss at this point. They get Rutgers coming up next weekend on Saturday. That's a 11 o'clock kick on NBC. But then they have Rutgers and Maryland back-to-back at home. That would get them to 7-3. They go to Wisconsin. At that point, they're probably not going to have a head coach. So that's a very winnable game too, to get to, I'm doing math in my head, which is dangerous, 8-4. 3. I'll get there. Yeah, 8-3, and then a Northwestern game will be interesting as well. And that game is a home game, I do believe. So, the very winnable 4-game stretch the rest of the way, but a disappointing day for the Fighting Illini. We'll talk more about them during the week. We'll get Ket Prince on here. We haven't talked to Jim Matson in a while, so maybe Mr. Matson can come on the show early next week to talk a little Fighting Illini. And then it was a great start for Iowa State. They led 17-7 at the end of the first quarter. They were up 24-17 at the half, but the second half, all BYU. They outscore Iowa State 24-3 after halftime. So Iowa State, third straight loss, 5-3 overall, 2-3 in the Big 12. And Jake Brenton talked about it on Thursday's show. This was an interesting game. If Iowa State won, there's a lot still on the table. If they lost, which they did, maybe people start paying more attention to what's going on in the basketball team with basketball starting soon. So Rocco Becht, 24 of 36, 311, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions, really hurting the Illini. Carson Hansen was back and had a great game on the ground, 152 and 2 touchdowns. So you look at it, they had a 150-yard rusher, 300-yard passer, and they still lose the game. Defensively, BYU getting the takeaways that they needed. Their quarterback had 307 through the air and 2 touchdowns. They didn't run the ball very well, which was impressive for Iowa State because that was the worry coming in. But they had 2 rushing touchdowns as well. BYU did. So Iowa State now 5-3 on the season, 2-3 in the Big Ten. And you look at their schedule coming up. They have Arizona State at Jack Trice Stadium coming up next weekend. Then they go to TCU. They get Kansas State at home, and then they go to Oklahoma State, which is a mess as well. So some big games coming up. Obviously, Arizona State at Jack Trice Stadium next weekend will be a big one. The TCU game is going to be tough on the road, and then 2 very winnable games to end the season. But Iowa State falling today, 41-27, the final score in that one. I'm going to take a break tomorrow, not do any shows, which is a fun thing. Enjoy my Sunday. On Monday, we'll have Pat Anger on the show. We'll have our Marksy Monday. John Marks will join us. We have a lot going on when it comes to high school football. I could do a whole nother show right now about the playoff pairings just came out. And obviously, on the Iowa side, they already know what they are. So a very busy week. We'll talk high school football. We'll get you set for all that. Like I mentioned, Pat Anger on Monday, as always. And we'll wrap up Monday's show a little bit early. We'll still have a good show, but Pat and I both are speaking at the Moline Rotary. God bless them for putting up with us on Monday afternoon early. So I got to get there. So we have a lot to get to. It'll be a bunch of fun, and basketball season is right around the corner as well. Again, the big story college football wise for our area, the Iowa Hawkeyes winning 41-3 over Minnesota. I think a lot of Iowa fans and people thought Iowa was going to win the game. 41-3 is as impressive as it gets. So Iowa now 6-2 in the season, 4-1 in the Big Ten. And again, Illinois losing 42-25, Iowa State losing 41-27. Thank you guys for watching a post-game edition of OTA. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new show. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon.